Hey, hello Anshuman, how
Hello.
are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Stuck in the lockdown at the moment and can't really do much, but it's all good.
Same here. Am I audible? Am I fine to you?
Yeah, all good.
Sure, all good. First of all, how are you being coping up with this quarantine period?
Yeah, it's not been easy, but I've certainly made sure that I take every precaution possible not to contract the virus, and I'm staying safe. I'm staying indoors, and can't wait to get back out there.
Loving that flashy look of all of that beard that you've got in this quarantine period. I'm sure a lot of us have not been able to get good grooming, but all that is important. All that matters is we've been seeing you on your Insta stories that you've resumed your cricket, resumed your practice, and that is a good thing to see. I'm very sure that once cricket comes back, you're gonna bounce back in a very beautiful way.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Definitely. Anshuman, let's begin. We've already given introduction to all our viewers about yourself. Moving on, I was very inquisitive to know. We've got a list of bunch of questions which we've got it from a lot of our fans who've DM'd us. They've been like, you want to ask Anshuman this, you want to ask Anshuman that. So we've got a list of questions. So, firstly, just let us know about how did this journey of cricket begin? I mean, once you were young, when did that thought arise, and what are the kind of tussle moments, the kind of challenges that you faced till the level that you've reached here?
Yeah, my cricketing journey started when I was about 6 or 7 is when I first started really playing cricket back in Hong Kong. Fell in love with it instantly, loved playing with it, loved playing with my family, my friends, just everything that you learn down at the park and everything you just, play with your friends and that's how you grow to love the game.
Definitely.
Then very luckily, when I was 14 years of age, I moved across to the UK for
Okay.
boarding school, and that's when my cricket really started to get serious. I got integrated into the Middlesex Academy, and I
Wow.
started playing, county cricket for Middlesex at the youth system, and I basically continued playing for Hong Kong during that time. And for me, that was an amazing experience. Seeing how a test cricket system operates, and getting exposure through Hong Kong was so valuable towards me, and it made me learn at such a quick pace. Unfortunately, my time in the UK wasn't allowed to continue, but that's one of the reasons as to why I moved to India, is because of the endless opportunities that I couldn't necessarily get in associate cricket.
Indeed, absolutely. Now we'll shortly get up to the point. Why did you shift from Hong Kong, and what are your aspirations to play for India? But before moving on that, could you throw some light on cricket in Hong Kong? What are the number of opportunities, or what are the kind of popularity of cricket in Hong Kong?
Yeah, Hong Kong being an ex-British colony does have a lot of expats and a lot of Englishmen, Australians, all that sort of players playing back in Hong Kong. But it's something that it's very hard to grow because it's very recreational in Hong Kong. A lot of people who play cricket, they only play on the weekends, and then they go to work Monday to Friday. So it's very hard to get that sort of consistency and that depth of youth along with consistent experiences. Growing that fundamental base is very hard in Hong Kong, in a country like Hong Kong, because it's so business orientated. It's so hustle and bustle. So I was
Definitely.
certainly aware of that. My family is certainly aware of that, and you know, making the move elsewhere was very important if I wanted to pursue my cricket career. When I was
Definitely.
off in England, I knew that Hong Kong wouldn't provide me with opportunities that I wanted. Um, and that's, unfortunately the sad reality of associate cricket is that, it does give you a great level of exposure, but then after that, then what?
Definitely.
And I was certainly more inclined to go to a place where the opportunities are endless. And for me, what better place than India?
Definitely, definitely. There is no better place than India in terms of cricket and also the other sports which are developing. India is now looking up to become a multi-sporting nation. With and I'm pretty sure your cricketing career in India is going to be super super awesome. So moving up to a small flashback, Anshuman, could you throw some light on your cricketing days as a captain of the Hong Kong team? I mean, this whole session is all about letting our fans know, letting your cricket fans know what goes behind the scenes. For a lot of other people, for a lot of fans, they know what goes on the field. So if you could throw some light on what goes off the field, maybe your experiences as a captain or the amount of pressure that you had in the dressing room, the amount of pressure that you had off the field, the preparations, and what kind of responsibilities that you have or had in your head, and how did you cope up with it?
Yeah, I didn't expect to be captain actually. I remember in the Asia Cup qualifiers, I was vice captain and Babar Hayat was captain. And 2 days before the tournament started, our first game in Malaysia, we were playing a warm-up game, and then Babar just turns to me and says, "I can't captain anymore. You captain." And
Okay.
I just sort of looked at my, he didn't tell anybody else. He told me first, and I just said, "You're joking, right? Just for this practice game?" He's like, "No, no, no. I quit. I don't want to be captain anymore. You captain for the Asia Cup qualifiers." And that sort of shocked me a little bit because I wasn't expecting the captaincy. And then I had to I had to go off and I had to go off and go for the press conferences later that afternoon, and all the other captains were sort of like Paras and Chetan from Singapore and all the other Ahmed Raza from Dubai and from the UAE. They were sort of looking, saying, "Where's Babar? Why are you here?" And I just said, "Well, apparently there's been a change in captaincy." So and something I wasn't expecting. And going into that tournament, it was a great feeling to lift the Asia Cup qualifiers trophy. It was Hong Kong's first trophy in 10 years or 11 years, and I was the captain of that side, and nobody can take that away from me. The way the boys gelled during that week was amazing. And then obviously we go off into the Asia Cup and do so well, but then after that Asia Cup game, we didn't have a lot of games. We didn't have a lot of matches. So, I went off to the UK. A few others bounced around. That sort of team unity is, every time there's a tournament coming up, you have to rebuild that again because people go off, they do their own thing. And it's having that team environment is very difficult, especially, with there being so many cultures. And I remember going into that Division 2 World Cricket League Division 2, I had a stint in New Zealand for about 4 or 5 months, and the others were sort of in and out. And then I came back, and the dynamic of the team had completely changed. The attitudes had come out, and it just didn't feel like a team environment. Despite us having success in the past, it just felt like, okay, this is how we're going to play. And the performances weren't there from anyone. And I had already known at that time that I was going to leave, but it's just something that it is a shame because it's so difficult for people to sort of, with different cultures, you can't expect them to sort of intertwine and intermingle so less, if you're in a team environment. And that's something that we did struggle with a little bit because we've got so many different cultures in our team. We used to have a Kiwi, we used to have Englishmen, Australians, a few Chinese, Pakistanis, Indians. There's just so many different cultures. If you don't stick together, then how are you expected to, have that camaraderie? It's much easier if, you stick together. And unfortunately, because of our schedules, it just wasn't like that. So I feel like I've definitely felt the worst of it as well as felt the best of it. you don't expect people who have grown up respecting their elders to take orders from a 20-year-old, and that's what it certainly felt like at times. Trying to manage the different egos in the team was certainly overwhelming at times, and it's just something that being a 20-year-old just got even worse because nobody would listen to a 20-year-old. So it definitely was something that you either stand your ground or you just you take the shit, and as the captain you can't really afford to do that. So
Definitely.
it was challenging, but again,
yeah. Continue.
it was challenging, but again, it's made me stronger. So I can only thank the coaches and the players for giving me the opportunity, and now I can move on.
Definitely, Anshuman, I'm indeed very sure that under your leadership and under the guidance of your coaches and mentors, the Hong Kong cricket has seen the best of bestest under your captaincy. Before moving on to the next segment, Anshuman, I can see a lot of people, a lot of fans of yours asking you to give you a hi, hello, just wave them a hand, and most of them asking you. I'm not too very sure if you have a lot of fans from Nepal, because they've been asking you to tell something in Nepali as well, if you know that.
Yeah. Hi. I don't know much Nepali, unfortunately. I've been there a couple of times, and there are a lot of good people over there in Nepal. They love their cricket, but no, unfortunately, my Nepali is not as good as some of the others. But next time I'm there, hopefully I can learn some.
Definitely. Moving on to the same topic which you spoke about, Anshuman, what I personally feel is the right. Sometimes pressure creates the right champions and the right situations, the right circumstances. And that is what you have been done, and we've seen that from your end against against India in the Asia Cup 2018. If you could throw on some light on that, did you have anything in your mind that I'm going to go out and score some good runs against India, the same runs that again for whom you want to play?
No, going into that game, there was a lot of pressure taken away from me because all the pressure and people were sort of talking about the India-Pakistan game and how this was just going to be a warm-up for India, and it'll be nice for them to start off their Asia Cup. And that did irritate me a little bit because you give everyone a fair chance. And understandably, others were sort of not highlighting on us so much, but rather talking about India and Pakistan. And it does make you feel like, it's not a nice thing to feel, especially when you are competing at the same level and you have, every right to compete. It's not a nice thing. And, for me and the boys, I just said, what a way this would be for us to really, put it back and shove it in their faces, because nobody's given us a look here. We played against Pakistan. I think we were a bit overwhelmed. We didn't really have many matches or many high quality matches going before that Pakistan game. And, I did say in the post-match interview that, I wish we had a few warm-up games against some good quality sides, because how do you expect us to compete if the first game we play is against, well-drilled Pakistan side who've been preparing for months, whereas we've just got off a plane from Malaysia, and we've been shoved in the deep end against Pakistan in 45-degree heat in Dubai. So, I certainly did say in my post-match interview that, it would have been nice. But then going into that India game, again, all the hype was on India starting this tournament. This was a warm-up for them. Will Shikhar Dhawan and Rosh, hit double hundreds. Everyone was talking like that. So, again, at the end of the day, people will have their opinions, but you just have to laugh it off and do the best you can. And, credit goes to my teammates. They really showed fight. I think it was an amazing comeback. They should have got 320 or 330, but, again, we stuck at it and we stuck to it and we restricted them to under 300. And then while we were batting, it was just a case of going out there and enjoying it. I know what Nizakat, who was my partner at the time, what he was capable of, and I knew exactly what I was capable of. So I think both of our games did complement each other on the day. And if I'm being honest, I don't think the Indian team expected us to come out with such a bang. If I'm being honest, I didn't even expect either. But you know, it was just one of those things that just clicked, and me and Nizaka just rode it for as long as possible. You know, unfortunately, we couldn't take it over the line, but 174 runs isn't the worst thing.
Badly, the right spirit that you have given it to him. But now moving on to the fun side of yours, fun side of the entire team. So do you recollect any fun moments, or do you recollect any kind of fun or any kind of tricks or pranks that you've done with your team, or anything that happens in the team bus, or maybe in the hotel or in the dressing room, something like that?
Yeah, there have been a few. There have been a few good memories. You know, we try to play pranks, you know, obviously, but within reason, because we've got so many dynamics in the team. It's tough to sort of please everyone. But you know, we used to have our fine sessions where, you know, if someone was late on the bus or someone misplaced an item, we would have a fine session where we have a fines master for the tour, and they would write down a list of everything that someone's done, and then at the end of the day, you collect the money for everything stupid that you've said or something that you've done, or you know, and then we'd collect all the money and then go out for a team dinner. There was another thing
Okay.
that during practices and matches, if we left something out on the field and we forgot it, you know, if we bring it out for warm-ups and if we forget it on the way back, then you know, we would hold an auction for that item, and everyone was allowed to buy it. So, you know, I remember one of my
Okay.
teammates once forgot his bat out there after throwdowns, and we had to auction it.
Oh my God.
And you know, the prices were skyrocketed. You can buy it back, but you have to auction it and you have to bid for it if you want it back. So, you know, certainly a lot of my teammates tended to forget their foam rollers, their mitts, their balls, their TheraBands. So, you know, someone forgot a hoodie once, and I think I nabbed it up for about 100 Hong Kong dollars. So, you know, just little things like that we used to do. We used to do some video blogs for Cricket Hong Kong and stuff. That was always good fun. The boys really love when some of our teammates sometimes bring their PlayStation with them, and you know, the boys really love playing FIFA.
That's the best.
Yeah, I remember this one time we had a teammate, and he used to put Vicks every night in his nose and his neck and his chest and stuff. And I remember once we swapped out the Vicks for deep heat.
Oh,
So he put deep heat in his nose and his neck and his chest, and
shit.
he screamed out loud. He was in the bathroom for about half an hour trying to fix that. So yeah, there's been a lot of good memories and a lot of stories like that. But yeah, it was good fun.
Well, these are some really unique kind of finds that you and your team have been putting up. I've never heard of them. I'm pretty sure a lot of people watching this live, please, you could implement these two at the grassroots level so that you are pretty disciplined once you reach at the professional level.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to laugh about it. But if you forget something or you do that, there has to be some form of punishment.
Definitely. Apart from cricket, I feel these are the only things that the cricketers cherish. They remember it for lifetime, because cricket is that one thing that you are there for. But you also require such fun moments, such funny moments with the team, because that is what you can cherish for your lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, a lot of people need to understand that, you know, it is a team game at the end of the day, and the camaraderie that you develop with your teammates is something that'll last forever, and that bonds you. You know, and you guys are brothers at the end of the day. You know, you look at the New Zealand team and people say, why do they do so well in World Cups? Why are they so good at handling pressure? It's because, you know, they're so close as a unit. And, you know, during pressure situations, that's what you need. You don't need to disintegrate or break up or start going into individual people. You need to stick together. And that's very important. And that's why teams like that do have a very successful history. And
Definitely.
they are very, very competitive.
Indeed, indeed. They are very, very competitive. Talking about the word competitive got me here, taking you back into the memory when you scored your maiden century against Papua New Guinea. You showed your right temperament, you showed your right competition. What was it like scoring a maiden century against this team? What was the feeling like? Did you have that motivational thing inside you once you went onto the field or once you came back of the field? What were the words which the coaches gave it to you?
Funny story. Before that game, me and Barber were actually competing for the World Cricket League highest run scorer. So, this tournament's over 2 years and you have to provide and prove your consistency for over 2 years. And I think I was top run scorer going into that final match. And Carl Kutzer was second from Scotland. And I think he was 80 or 70 runs behind me. And Barber was third, about 100 runs behind me. And I remember going into that match, and in the first game against PNG, Barber got 80 or 70, and I only got 40. And he was sort of joking with me, saying, "I'm gonna catch you, I'm gonna catch you," because me and him like to push each other like that. I think it brings the best out of both of us. And going into that game, I started to get worried, saying, "Oh crap, he actually might catch me here," because I've been the highest run scorer for the entire duration of the 2 years. And I didn't want people to take it away from me just at the last second. So I remember I'd opened the batting with Jamie Atkinson, and he got off to a decent start, but then he got out. I was on about 40 or 45 when Jamie got out, and Barber walked in.
Okay.
And I think Barber reached his 50 before I did. Like, he just went on a rampage and he just started whacking the ball. And I remember just thinking, oh crap, like, okay, so like he's going on a rampage, and I sort of need to make sure that he doesn't go past me. So I basically tried to be as stubborn as I possibly could and said, I'm not getting out here. And because we'd already finished in the top four, were on the plane to Zimbabwe for the World Cup qualifiers. So, these games were essentially just a formality. But, there were still one-day international competitive games. And, I definitely had something to play for. So did Barber. So I remember both of us, every time we'd meet in the middle, Barber used to be like, "Oh, I'm only 90 runs behind you. I'm only 80 runs behind you." So, we just started teasing each other. And, that basically motivated me. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not getting out until I'm not getting out at all here. I'm just going to rotate the strike and just be stubborn. He can score more runs than me this match, but I am not getting out and letting him score 80 or 90 more runs than me. So yeah, and then it just turned into one of those things where, it just kept on going. We had another 150, 160 run partnership. Unfortunately, he then got out, and then, I just kicked on after that, and again, I wasn't thinking about any milestones after that or my 100. It was just a good thing, that come off the back of a lot of hard work. And, I'm at the end of it, I think Barber ended up finishing third in the runs, but he was very happy for me, and yeah, it was a great feeling. And to get the win as well, to board the plane onto Zimbabwe for the World Cup qualifiers, that was even more special. And it was an end of a very good 2 years.
Definitely, and I feel Babar is. I've seen your partnerships, I've seen your bond. I mean, Babar is that correct kind of a person who gives you a perfect motivation and even that perfect kind of a fun that you need on the field. I mean, that bond is completely precious, and I hope this keeps on and on, this goes on, and you find someone as good as, or someone. I mean, the partnership goes on long and long for a long time. Moving on, we've had some board with Rohit Sharma. So I remember Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan once they were opening, and Rohit Sharma was opening for the first time, and somebody just asked him to go on the strikers. And have you and Babar or any opener alongside you have had that thought, maybe you were going to open in the non-strikers end, but suddenly the opener tells you, "Arey, you just go on the openers and I'm not going in there." Have you ever had such kind of moments, any kind of funny stories? You were
Yes.
like, "Oops, I am not going on the strikers."
Yes, I've had many arguments with a few teammates because I don't like to take strike normally. And
Okay.
I remember I was about 16 or 17, and I was opening for Hong Kong. And we had this other opener who was a little bit nervous, and he was opening for the first time. And it was pretty
Okay.
much the very similar situation. I just refused to take strike. I said, I am not taking strike. You take strike. And he was more stubborn than me, in fact. So he ended up saying, no, I refuse to bat. So it's just one of those things where, I just bit the bullet and said, fine, okay, if I get a first ball duck, it's on you. Luckily it didn't happen, but yeah, it was good. Again, all of these things are nothing to be too worried about. These are all fun and games. And at the end of the day, the amount that we give our bodies on the field, emotionally, physically, mentally, to have these moments on and off the field is very important to us. It's something that when we are alone or when we're at home after a very hyped up game, it is something that we do dwell on and remember these fond memories.
Definitely. And I'm pretty sure these are such moments. I mean, especially the opening pairs, they are always very, very tense, but that is the fun part of it. And I'm pretty sure you've had a hell fun of a journey. Moving on, Anshuman, what was your thought process? I mean, now that you're planning to shift to India, what are your future plans to shift to India? And in terms of what made you think of coming to India?
Well, firstly, my heritage. My parents are both from Orissa, and I used to come to India a lot to visit my grandparents, who are there right now. And unfortunately, when I moved to the UK for boarding school, it's just something that I didn't have a lot of spare time to go back to India, and my cricket was starting to take off. My education was getting serious, and I knew that cricket was the path that I wanted to pursue at a very young age. So for me, in terms of focus, it's always been clear. Some other people spend a lot of their lives looking for what they want to do and looking for that hunger and drive, but I've been very fortunate enough to find it in cricket at an early age.
Definitely.
After the India game, I sort of sat back and realized that what next? Once you've achieved something and you've ticked a box, you sort of look and say, what next? And, in terms of us as a Hong Kong team, there was really nothing else. We had lost ODI status in Zimbabwe. We string of a few bad games that cost us a lot. So I just said, how am I as an individual going to improve? And where is the best place for me? And, India was the only place that I could think of. It's the passion of the game, the love for it, the way that these people, train and their focus and they dedicate their lives to our sport. It's something that is inspirational, and it's something that, I knew that I want to be a part of. Me
Definitely.
having an Indian passport and being, a part of this country just makes it even better. Right now I'm qualifying to play for Vidarbha, so that'll be from September 1st. I'll be able to play for Vidarbha. And then, first things first is I need to score the runs I need to to get into that side. India and all, that's a goal in the future. But right now it's focusing on domestic cricket, and hopefully I can do it justice and score the runs that I need to for Vidarbha.
Indeed. We are very, very sure. The entire cricket team is indeed very sure, and we wish you very good luck in terms of scoring not only at the domestic level, but we are very sure that you will even reach at the national level and make all of us Indians proud.
Yeah.
And so now moving forward, now that you've entered the Indian cricket, you might have had such thoughts of playing for IPL. So I'm gonna give you a beautiful Yorker out here. The reason why it's a Yorker is because I'm pretty sure once this video goes out, a lot of IPL captains are gonna watch it. So my only question to you is, if you ever would play IPL, for which team would you like to play, and why?
I've heard this question a lot. When I was younger, I used to support CSK. I was a huge fan of Dhoni, and the way he captains, and Jadeja. I really loved the way Jadeja went about his game, and so for me, both of them were players that I really enjoyed watching. So I supported Chennai from a young age. But, as I grew up and started playing at the level and interacting with all these players, I sort of, saw that it's just the cricket. All of these teams are amazing. I would love to play for any of them, to be honest, given the chance. It's not just one team, but I would personally probably like to play for RCB if I'm going to be completely honest. Just to
Okay.
see, pick Kohli's brain just in general. I think would be amazing, and he's such an inspiration to a lot of people out there. But just to see the way he goes about his business would be a sight in itself. So I would definitely like to play for RCB. But again, like I said, it's any one of them. I think they're all brilliant franchises, and they've all got amazing talent with great overseas players. So I'd love to play for any of them.
Definitely, definitely. I'm very sure if you enter the RCB team, they're gonna be like Isa Lakap Namde. Do you know what Isa Lakap Namde?
No.
Isa Lakap Namde was a tag which the RCB team came up with, which in a South Indian language means this year we're gonna win the cup. But they haven't been able to ever get it. So I'm pretty sure if you ever play for RCB, you go and say that to Virat Kohli, Isa Lakap Namde.
Yeah, well, that's a long way away though, so I need to qualify for the auction first, and then I need to put in the performances for me to get picked. So, but yeah,
Maybe we are very optimistic.
yeah, all the chips are in the right place. It's just now up to me. So, let's see what happens.
Indeed, indeed. And do you know who's Thala?
Yeah, that's Mahi, isn't
That's
it?
the boss.
Yeah.
That's the boss. Thala in South Indian language, some of the South Indian language means Thala, boss, and Dhoni is being called as Thala. I mean, you have that thing in you yet, yeah? At least the Indian cricket.
Yeah, I might need to brush up on my on my language skills a little bit, but I'm sure I'll get there.
Definitely, don't worry. I'll just brush you up with such Hindi skills. You can call me up and we'll have a chat, and I'll definitely help you with that.
Yeah, of course,
of
course.
Anshuman, moving on, there a lot of people have been asking me who's Anshuman's inspiration, because everybody has that kind of inspiration whom we look up to since our childhood, or maybe this inspiration changes from time to time as in we have achieved our goals, our aspirations. So who's that one, not one person, if you have more than one person who inspires you to for whom you are today or whom you aspire to be in the near future?
Well, I think I wouldn't say it was down to any one person. I think at certain times in my life, the right person has been there. When I was younger and I wanted, the love for the game definitely came from my dad. He loved watching his cricket, and he would spend hours with me, just mucking around in the field and playing some cricket. And, that's how good it was. And going into my adolescent phase in the UK, Middlesex played a huge part in my growth of a cricketer. Just that extra level of knowledge and loyalty that they had, that the way they saw the game was a little bit different. So for them, I'm grateful towards them. My batting coach, Graham Ferber, back in the UK, he's someone that I spent a lot of time with, and someone that I could connect to on a human level as well as a cricketing level. And I thought that was very important. And, right now I'm very fortunate to train with Amol Muzumdar right now. So, he right now has been a godsend for me. He's an amazing coach with a great record behind him. And, again, being able to pick these guys' brains, being able to work with them is just, something that you just have to feel privileged for. And, I certainly am very, very lucky to be able to train under these people and to have the right guidance at the right time. But in terms of cricketers, I would probably say Sangakkara has always been someone that I've looked up to. The way he goes about his game on and off the field is really, really good. And I've been lucky to play with him and to be on the same team as him. And he certainly is what everyone says. He's a true gentleman of the game, and it's an inspiration. And he's probably someone that I do look up to the most in the cricketing circle.
No, I mean, these are indeed some legends of the game, and even a lot of other grassroots level cricketers of India and even abroad follow them and look up to them. I'm very sure under Mazumdar sir, you're going to reach at the highest level. Just one last question, Anshuman, before I allow you to leave. So a lot of people have been asking me in the comment section, what is your favorite Bollywood movie? Do you follow or do you watch Bollywood?
I do watch Bollywood, probably not as much as your average person, but I do watch and enjoy Bollywood. My
Okay,
favorite movie would probably be Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. I
indeed,
think,
that's a beautiful movie.
yeah, I think that's probably my favorite movie. It's just it relates to so many things that us as humans go through in our day-to-day lives, and to not take everything seriously, to have a laugh and enjoy. And I think that's very important. Especially in such a career-driven country like India, I think it's very important.
Definitely, definitely. Anshuman, it was my absolute pleasure to have you today. The entire cricket family is pleased to have you this beautiful evening, have such a beautiful conversation with you. Just wishing you luck from the entire team of ours, and we are very optimistic that you're going to reach the heights that even you never expected. And looking forward to meet you and see you in person once the situation normalizes.
Of course, of course. Thank you very much.
Sure, thanks, Anshuman. Anshuman,
Yes,
have a
thank
good
you.
evening.